And welcome to the Open Mic Broadcast Network. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. We are so fortunate to have on the line with us our guru basketball expert, and just say sports enthusiast, Coach Van Pettaway. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. This is another great day that he's given us, and I'm just having a great time with it.
Yes, sir. You and I both, sir. We've gotten past the NFL drafts, and some young lives are going to have an opportunity to move a little bit closer toward their dream in the way of free agency in most of our HBCU guys' case. But we got some basketball conversation, Coach. The ink hadn't truly dried on your latest, Coach, before it was whispers in the air that they might be moving yet again. Man, how you dealing with all that?
Well, it's out there, but that's the nature of the beast. You have these opportunities, and sometimes you just can't resist. There have been rumblings that Coach Thornton is also a candidate for the Jackson State job, and we'll just have to see. Ashley Robinson, I know he wants to close the circle real quick because whoever the coach is going to be, they're already behind the eight ball when it comes to the recruiting aspect. And
yes,
you got to remember now, Jackson State had 8 seniors on that roster this past season, so that was going to be a remake anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going to really put whoever gets that job, it's going to put them at a disadvantage.
Right. Well, leading to the latest decision of Coach Reed, I had gone in some several discussions with people who keep close to SWAC athletics and basketball in particular, and they were under the impression that Jackson should have and could have offered more money for Reed to stay. And my argument against that is you probably could have. Then the question is at what expense. We are limited, when I say we, HBCUs, to a certain amount of resources available. And if you are coaching and having success, there are one or two things that I believe that coaches in our circuit must understand, that there's only a limited amount of resources available. And if you want to stay, that's fine, but don't complain after the fact. And if you see an opportunity to advance your career and increase your pockets, why not take advantage of that opportunity?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. But what happens to the coach who loves where they are, and they want to remain there, but at the same time they want to be treated fairly? In other words, if I'm successful where I am and I don't want to leave, why should I have to leave to advance my career? Why can't I advance where I am? Why can't the narrative change when it comes to salaries? Why can't the narrative change when it comes to how you supplement salaries? See, to me, if there's a will, there's a way.
Well, I come from the era in life that you can't get blood out of a turnip. And if you only allowed X amount of funding available in this budget, and when I say what's available in that budget, that athletic budget, now what the alumni associations do, that can become murky water, because how long will you have the resources to maintain that? And I'm thinking an alternative solution could be the possibilities of having camps that can entrench you around your direct community and be able to supplement some of your income and other items needed, because you only have so much you can go. And the trickle-down theory will only go so far when it comes to us having stuff available to us directly, and we have to become creative to raise those necessary funds.
Right, and that's my point exactly, creative financing, what I call creative financing. And one of the biggest ways to do that is through game guarantees. Why not a percentage of that money come back to the program? Why not some of that the percentage of that be set aside to supplement the salaries. So I think there's a way. There are ways to get this done. And when you have a coach who has proven herself like Coach Reed, I think she's a difference maker. And you should want to keep her as part of your program. So you come up with creative ways of supplementing that salary.
Okay. Now, in the case of Coach Reed, and you said something that was very important. You said that coach desires to stay there.
Right.
But when that coach feels that they've done all that they could do on that particular scale, when you look at the pedigree of Coach Reed, she's won multiple conferences. She's won tournaments. She's represented in the NCAA tournament. And to a degree, she's maxed out at this pay scale level. What else is left for her to prove?
Right. Well, I think that's what she looked at in this situation. She saw that if her career is gonna prosper or move on, she had to move on because she saw that she couldn't get the salary that she was looking for from Jackson State. So in that case, she's one of the people who did not want to just remain there.
Right.
But we'll never know because I don't think Jackson State ever came up with close to what she was looking for. And in one of her interviews, she did explain that, this wasn't her first time interviewing. She had looked at other jobs. She had been offered other jobs and inquired about them. It just wasn't the right fit.
Right. Well, there were reports, according to the journal, the journal out of Jackson,
Clarion Ledger.
Ledger, yes, sir. That there was potentially a 4-year offer at $2.5 million a year. I mean, not $2.5 million, $250,000 a
right.
year. And don't know how true that really is. And they say, well, why would she walk away from $1 million? Well, once again, we don't know. We can't get into the mindset. We don't know if that report is actually true, but maybe she already had in her mind the next thing that looks available, because she's not walking into a program in Charlotte that is downtrodden, where she can add her personality, some of her pieces, and I'm sure she's going to have success in the transfer portal, not to mention a little leverage she can gain with some NIL money on that next level.
Right. And she's already stated that she's taking her entire staff. So that means that whoever goes into Jackson State, not only do they have to build a team, they got to build a staff. Okay.
Now, with that being mentioned, Coach, there's another short whisper that there's somebody you're somewhat familiar with might be the next candidate for Jackson.
Right. There's a rumor that Coach Margaret Richards, who, of course, was just released at Alabama A&M, that she's a candidate for that job. So we're all in a wait-and-see process. Jackson State has not released anything yet. I went to bed checking my sources, and I woke up checking sources. So nothing has been released yet.
Okay. Now, as far as the men's side of things, Johnny Jones gets a 3-year extension at Texas Southern. And when we talk about the circumstances that Miss Reed was faced against, it's almost a similar territory, but a little taller ceiling, perhaps, on the men's side.
Right. Well, here's the thing with Johnny Jones. I don't think money is going to be an issue with him because of his previous stops.
Okay.
When you look at Memphis, when you look at LSU, at some point in life, sometimes money is not the driving force.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at these other stops, he is financially secure. So I don't think he's not the type that's gonna have to chase the dollars. And so being at Texas Southern, I guarantee you with the extension came a raise. And, to be able to know that you're going to be somewhere to 2029, I think that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And one thing about it, in my personal opinion, Texas Southern is probably one of the schools in the conference, if not the only school in the conference that is located, that is a very attractive place for a person in the transfer portal or even a freshman to want to play basketball.
Right, but here's the other thing that I think a lot of people are missing about Texas Southern. How did they get their basketball program to where it is? Because they were one of the first schools in this league to start using creative financing. In other words, and it's real simple. All the administration did was said, if the coach goes out and earns the money from these guarantee games, a substantial portion of that will go back into the program.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they have elevated themselves to where they are now when it comes to men's basketball. Because
yes,
you go back. It started with Harvey. It started when Harvey was the coach. He and the president had that understanding that this is how you will be able to build the program. And not only did they do it in terms of putting a staff together, they improved their facilities. And all of that money, all of those items that were done was done through game guarantees.
Mm-hmm.
So they're one of the first programs in this league to allow the athletic department to use the guarantee money.
Yes,
they
sir.
reinvested that money into the program, and they have seen the success. They have seen what reinvesting in your program can do for you, and that's why they sit at the top.
I have this opinion, and I know it might not go over well with others that listen that's connected to the conference. I believe personally that Texas Southern's facilities are great enough that you could host a doggone tournament there, and you have a place like Houston where everybody could get to and have enough accommodations for it. The only question I would have would probably be locker room availability during the course of a tournament.
No, from being in that facility, I think they have enough space that you can get it done. And
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. They have one of the largest facilities in the SWAC, and because of them reinvesting into it, they've updated, they've modernized that arena.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to think about it now. Evidently, it's to the point where the University of Houston used it for a whole season.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. They use it for an entire season. So you're absolutely correct. That would be a great place to have the tournament. When the tournament was in Houston, they wanted to go to Toyota Center.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I think Texas Southern would have been an ideal place.
Yes, sir, and possibly save you a little overhead to get it done. But
right.
You know, that's neither here nor there. So when we look at the developments from this basketball circuit, and we know how the NIL and the transfer portal is working, and this, as you mentioned, this is a critical time. This is recruiting season for basketball, because before you know it, Coach, they'll be coming in to get ready for fall warm-ups. And I know we're just about to hit May, but time moves, man.
Right. See what you're doing now. You're ending this season in a couple of weeks, and then you start another new year, another calendar year when it comes to athletics with summer school starting up in about 3 weeks. So they've got it. Well, no, I'm sorry, not summer school starting up in 3 weeks. But you got all these graduations coming up where you'll be put into bed this academic year, and then you'll be gearing up for summer school in about a month or so. So this is very crucial. And in terms of the window for recruiting, I think the middle of May is when the recruiting period ends for basketball, and that's why they got to get a coach in there, so that they'll have an opportunity to get their own players in there. And they're going to need them because you don't have that many people returning at Jackson State.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because out of those 8 young ladies, I do believe 6 or 7 of them were that was their COVID year. So there is no coming back.
Right, right. Now we're talking right now with Coach Van Pettaway, of course, about the world of basketball. And, you know, we discussed a few weeks back, Coach, about the introduction of this 1-2-1 format. And for those who might not be up to date with it, it's being proposed and I think has already been approved that
Yes.
starting this basketball season, you'll have women playing on Thursday, a doubleheader on Saturday, and the men closing out on Monday. Had you had a chance to go back and revisit that to see the pros and the cons of that move, Coach?
Well, evidently the conference feels like this is a format that has worked for other conferences, other mid-major conferences, and that's what that's what they want to do. And I think where women's basketball is strong, it'll be okay. But in those programs where your women's teams were not drawing, I think that's going to be a big issue. That's going to be an eye opener for some of our teams in the league, and until our fans accept this format, it's going to be some low attended games on Thursday nights.
Right.
And one of the upside to it on Monday night, now your men, you don't have to start your men's game so late, and they will start on time now because it's not a doubleheader.
Right. Well, I can see that move, as you said, being positive. Instead of playing the men's game at 8:30, even 9 o'clock, in some cases, starting that game at 6 p.m. and whatever you have available. But on the front end, the sacrifice of women's basketball. And I know that women's basketball is hot right now because of what's been going on the larger scales, but how it trickles down. And something else that is of great concern to me, Coach, being on the production side and producer, is how do you do the basketball coverage? It's hard enough getting a stream or a radio connect. Now, you do Alabama A&M home games, and it's easier to do that as a home broadcaster, but for those that have been accustomed to traveling, now you're going to have to do some networking, in my opinion, budget-wise, because let's be honest, they do not, and I say I'm talking about in a collective whole, these conferences and these programs, they do not value the true cost effectiveness and the impact of an audio broadcast as well as a video broadcast.
Right. All that's going to be different. All that's going to be new. All of that is going to be more expensive for all of the programs that want to stream or do radio broadcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because now you've added in that Thursday game, but then also on in-house, you got all your all of the staff that has to put on a game. So you added another fee in there when it comes to having everybody on site for that women's game on Thursday, and then the single game on Monday. So there's a financial cost to this.
Right, and even going back to that broadcasting piece, I'm seeing an alternative and possibly the only solution is you're going to have to now have a women's crew and a men's crew for doing these games just to look at travel alone, Coach, because of accustomed we had one person doing both broadcasts. Okay, but now you're talking about a person that's going to have to broadcast for Thursday, having to leave on Wednesday, and then come back that late Monday or early Tuesday morning. And let's be honest, these positions are not paying enough for a guy to have this as a solo job. This is a side hustle for a lot of guys, and it's going to create some kickback from their primary employers.
Right. I think you'll see more simulcast now. There's going to have to be some cooperation between institutions to pull this off. I just think you're going to see more simulcasts going on.
Okay. Well, we're going to be seeing what the near future is going to be for our beloved conference in the world of basketball. But before we get out of here, Coach, I know you want to dibble-dabble in some of this baseball, and your Bulldogs had
a great weekend.
They had a great weekend, but they still a little behind the 8 ball in that East Division, Coach. Right now, currently, you have FAMU, Bethune-Cookman. Alabama State has Rose. You have Jackson, Alabama A&M, then Valley. And another team that's cooking from the West, Alcorn, has won 2 consecutive games over Pine Bluff this past weekend. But leading the charge on the West, you have Texas Southern, you have Grambling, Prairie View, and Southern. Prairie View had a strong weekend against Southern.
Yes,
sir. Taking 2 out of 3. And a lot of people didn't realize that leading into that series against Southern, Prairie View was on a 12-game losing streak conference-wise against Southern. So that was a great come-up for them guys. It's looking a little dark for your Bulldogs right now, Coach.
Yeah, it is. Bethune-Cookman jumped out on in that first game, that Friday game, and beat the brakes off my Bulldogs 20-3. But then the Bulldogs responded and beat Bethune-Cookman 6-1 on Saturday, and then of course on Sunday they won 7-6. So there's a little light at the end of the tunnel, real dim light, but it's there. And then of course I was real happy when I saw where your Panthers did the same thing with
Southern.
Yeah, they jumped on Southern. And when you look at these standings, this is going to be a great conference tournament, and I just hope that the pitching can hold up, because that's what it takes when you're playing back to back in the tournament. So your pitching staff, you got to get some arms rested. Your rotation has to be right in order for them to be successful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And once again, I'm not going to rehash that whole spiel I had last week. The key to tournament pitching is don't try to strike everybody out.
Right.
Let your defense work for you. Your defense work for you. And right now, things are shaping up. And it's going to be very, very interesting this weekend, because you'll have Texas Southern, who struggled against Grambling last week, which kept things jumbled up. They'll be hosting Prairie View this weekend. And Prairie View's got to take at least 2 to keep pace with the upper echelon, what I'm calling it, between the Grambling Southern and Texas Southern of the West. And it's going to be very interesting. Now you have Grambling will be taking on Alcorn. And Alcorn coming off that 2-game win streak. Maybe they got enough giddy up in their pony where they can keep disrupting that flow from the West. But as they say, to be continued, right, Coach?
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir. And so we got everything lined up and ready to go. As always, it's a joy to break these things down with you. And even if we agree to disagree on certain things, it's still good, healthy conversation.
Yes, it is. And that's what we are supposed to do. You can debate, you can disagree, but we can also move on, and because we got the same goal in mind, the SWAC conference and promoting everything that associated with.
Yes, sir. Because we know that perfected heel is going to always be slightly better than that original heel.
There you go. That was a good one. Yes,
sir. Yes, sir. Well, look, Coach, I want to give you some closing thoughts and comments as we get ready to wrap this week's segment up.
Well, this has been a great year for us, and I look forward to continuing to be able to put the word out, and I want to continue to encourage you to keep up the assignment. Be blessed, and make sure that you continue to get the word out, because it's sorely needed.
Well, thank you very much, sir, and we appreciate you making yourself available for us here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. He is Coach Van Pettaway, our guru. We call him Pops Pettaway because he's a man of wisdom, a man of passion, and a leader amongst leaders, and we're truly thankful to have him aboard with us. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Don't forget you can subscribe to the YouTube channel at the Open Mic Broadcast Network and follow me on Twitter X at The Mike Prince Show. And until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.